Justice is the foundation upon which the heavens and the earth stand. Imam Zain ul Abideen, A.S., from Risalat al-Hukm, the treatise on right. This striking statement sets the tone for understanding his profound contributions to social justice, human rights, and ethical responsibility. Imam Zain ul Abideen not only preached justice, but lived it especially through his legendary Risalat al-Hukm, a pioneering document that outlined the rights of individuals, communities, and even adversaries long before modern declarations of human rights emerged. Imam Zain ul Abideen, A.S., also known as Ali ibn Hussein, stands as a pivotal figure in Islamic history, revered not only for his spiritual depth but for his unwavering commitment to justice, compassion, and moral integrity. As the great-grandson of Prophet Muhammad, PPUH, and the sole adult survivor of the tragic battle of Karbala, Imam Zain ul Abideen bore witness to immense suffering and injustice. Yet, rather than retreating into silence, he transformed his pain into a powerful legacy of resistance against oppression and advocacy for human dignity. Through his actions, prayers, and especially his monumental work, Risalat al-Hukm, the treatise on rights, he laid out one of the earliest and most comprehensive frameworks of ethical responsibility and social justice. In a time of tyranny and moral decay, Imam Zain ul Abideen emerged as a beacon of righteousness, reminding the world that justice is not merely a legal concept but a moral obligation rooted in divine truth. During the time of Imam Zain ul Abideen, A.S., the Islamic world was reeling under the oppressive rule of the Umayyad dynasty, particularly under the caliphate of Yazid ibn Muawiyah and his successors. This era was marked by widespread political corruption, moral decay, and severe persecution of the Prophet's family, Ahl al-Bayt. The caliphs had strayed far from the principles of justice, equity, and compassion laid down by Islam, turning the leadership of the Muslim community into a tool for personal power and tyranny. The most tragic manifestation of this injustice was the Battle of Karbala in 680 CE, where Imam Hussein, A.S., the father of Imam Zain ul Abideen, along with his family and companions, was brutally massacred for refusing to legitimize Yazid's corrupt rule. Imam Zain ul Abideen, gravely ill at the time, survived the massacre, only to be taken prisoner and paraded through the streets of Kufa and Damascus alongside the women and children of his family. Despite the trauma and humiliation he endured, Imam Zain ul Abideen did not remain silent. However, the environment he faced was extremely hostile. Open rebellion was impossible, and any form of resistance could lead to further bloodshed. Yet, the Imam chose a different, profound path of advocacy through supplication, scholarship, and moral education. One of his greatest tools was his collection of supplications known as Sahifa Sajadiyya, which, though outwardly devotional, carried deep themes of social justice, spiritual awakening, and resistance against oppression. His Risalat al-Haq boldly outlined the rights of individuals and institutions at a time when such rights were routinely violated. In a climate of fear and brutality, Imam Zain ul Abideen's subtle yet powerful approach preserved the essence of Islam and challenged injustice not with arms, but with unshakable faith, intellect, and moral clarity. His life is a testament to how courage and truth can endure, even in the shadow of tyranny. Imam Zain ul Abideen, A.S., fought for justice, not with swords, but with words, worship and wisdom each, infused with deep ethical conviction and spiritual insight. Living in the aftermath of the brutal Battle of Karbala, where tyranny had triumphed momentarily over truth, the Imam took on the immense task of reviving the moral conscience of a broken society. His legacy is a quiet revolution, rooted in the heart of Islam and fueled by unwavering dedication to truth and justice. 1. Sermon in the Court of Yazid, a voice against tyranny. One of the most powerful demonstrations of Imam Zain ul Abideen's resistance came in the court of Yazid in Damascus. Though still a prisoner, weak from illness and grief, he boldly rose to speak. In a climate of fear, he identified himself as the son of Mecca and Mina, the son of Muhammad, the chosen one, asserting the moral and spiritual authority of the al-Bayt. His words unmasked the lies and injustices of the Umayyad regime. It stirred the conscience of many in the crowd, some of whom began to weep and question the legitimacy of Yazid's rule. This moment stands as a historic act of resistance, delivered with dignity and divine purpose. 2. Sahifa Sajadiyya, Prayers as a manifesto for justice known as the Psalms of Islam, the Sahifa Sajjadiyah is a collection of the Imam's heartfelt supplications. These are not just prayers for personal salvation, they are deeply embedded with calls for social reform, compassion for the oppressed, accountability of leaders, and the upholding of human dignity. In one of his prayers, he asks, "O God, bless Muhammad and his household, and give us success in supporting the oppressed and aiding the wronged." Through such supplications, the Imam taught resistance, inspired hope, and reminded believers of their duty to stand with the marginalized. His prayers subtly but powerfully educated people about their rights and responsibilities, planting seeds of reform. 3. Risalat al-Hukm, the Treatise on Rights. This groundbreaking document is perhaps the most systematic early Islamic charter of human rights. In Risalat al-Hukm, Imam Zain Abideen outlines over 50 specific rights ranging from the rights of neighbors, teachers, and rulers to the rights of the soul, the tongue, and even one's enemy. By detailing these rights, he laid the intellectual foundation for a just and ethical society, built not on power or privilege, but on divine justice and mutual responsibility. 4. Charity and silent social reform. The Imam's actions spoke volume. He would secretly go out at night carrying food on his back to deliver to the poor of Medinamini, of whom only discovered their benefactor after his passing. This humility and quiet service were acts of justice in action, restoring dignity to the needy in a society that had abandoned them. 5. Educating a new generation. Although under strict surveillance, Imam Zainul Abideen trained a group of students and companions who preserved and disseminated his teachings. Figures like Imam Muhammad al-Bakir, his son, and Zuri, a respected scholar, carried forward his legacy. He built an intellectual resistance that outlasted the political tyranny of his time. Imam Zainul Abideen's life is a shining example of spiritual resistance. His eloquent sermons, transformative prayers, and revolutionary writings were all acts of defiance against injustice. He redefined what it meant to struggle in the path of God, not always by confronting tyrants on the battlefield, but by reforming hearts, elevating minds, and anchoring justice in faith. His legacy continues to inspire movements for dignity, human rights, and moral integrity across the Muslim world and beyond. One of the most striking and relatable moments that exemplifies Imam Zainul Abideen's role as a champion of justice is his legendary sermon in the court of Yazid following the tragedy of Karbala. After being taken captive with the women and children of the Prophet's family, Imam Zainul Abideen, still weak from illness, was brought before Yazid ibn Muawiyah, the tyrant responsible for the massacre of his father, Imam Hussein, A.S., and other family members. Yazid, surrounded by his court and supporters, intended to humiliate the Prophet's household and present his brutal actions as a victory. But what followed turned the entire narrative on its head. Despite being a shackled prisoner, Imam Zainul Abideen stood before the crowd and boldly declared, "I am the son of Mecca and Mina. I am the son of the one who was taken on the heavenly journey. I am the son of Muhammad, the messenger of Allah." With those words, he reclaimed his identity and reasserted the moral authority of the Prophet's family. He condemned injustice not through aggression, but with clarity, dignity, and truth. His speech moved many in the audience to tears and even caused public unrest, forcing Yazid to shorten the trial and return the prisoners to Medina. It shows that justice is not always won with armies, it's often upheld with courage, words, and unwavering moral strength. Imam Zainul Abideen spoke truth to power in the face of unimaginable loss, humiliation, and danger. His example teaches us that standing for justice means refusing to let evil define the narrative, even when we are at our weakest. In today's world where many feel silenced or powerless in the face of injustice, his legacy reminds us that even in captivity, the voice of truth can shake the throne of a tyrant. Imam Zainul Abideen's legacy is a powerful reminder that true strength lies in moral courage, compassion, and standing up for justice even in the darkest of times. His life continues to inspire hearts around the world, and we'd love to hear how his story resonates with you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What part of Imam Zainul Abideen's life or teachings inspired you the most? How do you see his message of justice and integrity reflected in today's world? Let's start a meaningful conversation. And if you're interested in more stories of remarkable individuals who shaped history with their values and vision, be sure to check out our other videos on influential historical figures, leaders, scholars, and revolutionaries who, like Imam Zainul Abideen, changed the world not just with power, but with principle. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay connected with stories that matter.